What's up guys, Dynasty, and in a matter of days we'll be seeing the first gameplay reveal for MK1 and probably have a better idea of who's going to be making the roster for the game. So I figure it only makes sense before the trailer drops that I get to sit back and predict who I think will be in Mortal Kombat 1's roster. Now obviously this is just my opinion based on their track record, NetherRealm's track record with like character selections and stuff. By no means is this my wish list. I'll probably have that in a few days as well, if not already posted. So keep that in mind. We have it broken down by base roster characters, Kameo fighters, Kombat Pack 1 and 2, and not in Mortal Kombat 1. Now for base roster, I'm gonna say around 28 characters would probably be my guess for more or less how many characters make it into the final base roster. When it comes to Kombat Pack 1 and 2, we're bound to get some guest characters, so I'll probably pick 8 characters for that. And for Kameo fighters, I guess that'll probably just be who's left that I have not in MK1. So that's kind of like the plan for this video. If you guys enjoy tier list videos like this, please take a second to drop a like on this video. It does help me out a ton. And before we get into it, I want to say a shout out to today's sponsor. Have you ever wondered how Donald Trump would look in a game like Mortal Kombat 1? Don't wonder anymore, because with the Wonder AI app, you can do things like this. You can turn former presidents of the United States into fully fledged Mortal Kombat characters. Now, you guys do know I've been on an AI kick lately, and I've been using the Wonder app time and time again to piece together things that you never thought were possible. For instance, again, former President Trump in Mortal Kombat. We haven't seen Mortal Kombat in over 15 years. However, courtesy of the Wonder AI app, we kind of have an idea what it would ever look like if it did come back. Check out Sub-Zero on his own quad. This is the closest we'll ever get, courtesy of Wonder AI, making realities that you never thought could happen. Sub-Zero on a quad in 2023. Shout out to Wonder AI, the app on the iOS and Android store, for making things like this possible. If you guys are interested, again, please be sure to check them out in the link down below in the description. It is free on your iOS device for the trial. However, things do get better if you do pay for the premium subscription, because there are no ads. You get high resolution images, faster generation, and even unlimited art as well. And it's something I've personally been using for a few months now and enjoying with, you know, creating things like this for my thumbnails on the YouTube channel. So again, if you want to make your own President Mortal Kombat character, or bring back classic modes like Mortal Kombat per se, the Wonder AI app makes that possible. Again, thank you Wonder AI for sponsoring today's video, and let's get back into my predictions of the MK1 roster. Will Mortal Kombat be there? Have to wait and see. It has begun. I think kicking things off, it only makes sense to throw the characters from the trailer on the base roster. So there's Raiden. Where the heck is Kung Lao? Here's Kung Jin. Where are you, Kung Lao? Here's Liu Kang. Here's Kung Lao. Where's Scorpion and Sub-Zero? Only makes sense. I guess Shang Tsung will put there for Kombat Pack. Johnny's confirmed to be a base roster character. We're at 4 already. Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Melina, and Kitana. Where is Kitana? Boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess let's go for 20. I guess 28 would be my guess, more or less. Let's go for 20 more. So we got 20 characters left to select on the base roster, and 8 characters for DLC. I'll just throw Shang in there because he's a pre-order bonus, technically DLC. So, okay. Who's making the MK1 roster? Ashra. Will Ashra make the base roster? Ed Boon has said 3D era characters will be making a comeback. Now, obviously, that can mean Kameo fighters, but I feel like Ashra is just one of those 3D era characters that I could kind of see make a comeback, because she's got the lore. She's a demon. I used to just think she was like Lady Raiden, but obviously that's not the case at all. I think she could come back and have a pretty unique moveset as well, if like the spark she throws. She has the awesome dagger as well. So I think Ashra, if we were going to see some 3D era representation, is one of those characters that I can honestly see making the base roster. So here it is, Ashra, and honestly, we need some ladies on the roster, some new ones too that we've not seen in a long time. I think she's perfect. And speaking of ladies on the base roster, I think Lee May's there too. I think Lee May we saw back in the Mortal Kombat X story mode in a cameo. Everybody got hyped at the time and was thinking that maybe she would have been like DLC for MKX at the time. She wasn't. And then she was like nowhere to be found at MK11, with us again getting a bit of 3D era representation. I think both of these ladies make the most sense. So I think Lee May and Ashra are two returning characters we could see. And honestly, I'm pretty stoked. I hope so. That leaves us with 18 more characters. Okay. Baraka. Will Baraka come back, or will Baraka sit out this game? He's a creature. That's tough. I'm going to skip Baraka and go to the ones that I think just make the most sense. Like, for instance, where's Reptile at? I need Reptile. Reptile is going to be a base roster character. If you missed my video from a few days ago, I mentioned how Jandy's leak from January of last year mentioned Kameo fighters on his desktop, and also there was a Reptile file. We did not see Reptile at MK11. Everyone's been clamoring to see the return of Reptile. I think Reptile will come back, and I probably think it's safe to say he'll probably be on the base roster as well. There you go. Reptile fans, Sizoth, I love him. I think it's been long enough. I think he's coming back. Going back to like lady representation from the 3D era, I think Natara also will be coming back. All three of these ladies from 3D era games, Ashra, Lee May, and Natara, just makes the most sense. And out of those three, at least we saw Natara even more recently with the Mortal Kombat reboot film. So I feel like that kind of gives her some of that momentum going into MK1. She's the only vampire character in the franchise as well. It's, you know, it's crazy to think she's not been around since Armageddon and before that, Deadly Alliance. So I think it's long overdue. I think there's a lot of potential with this character. If we don't see Scarlet come back, I think you need to have another blood-based character, and she just fits the bill perfectly. So I think she'll probably return as well. So you got three 3D era ladies making a comeback. I think that's pretty fair and pretty sick. Let's knock off some of the ones I think aren't coming back at all. For instance, like the joke characters. I'm so sorry, but Meat fans, Meat's not coming back. Mocap's not coming back. Sorry. I don't think they are. Shao Kahn as well, I don't think will be represented in this game. He had a lot of, I guess, shine in the Aftermath DLC, and he was, of course, the pre-order bonus for MK1. I feel like Shao Kahn can rest a bit. I feel like we've kind of had a lot of Shao Kahn lately with like NRS games. I think he's going to just sit this one out. So I do not expect to see Shao Kahn in MK1, especially because, again, I don't think he's the big bad. I still think the big bad's probably Onaga, and I think Shang Tsung's kind of just working with Onaga as well. So I don't think Shao Kahn has any room for this. I really don't. I think Goro probably has a better chance, but even then, I don't think Goro will probably come back either. So Goro, where are you, Goro? I'm sorry, Goro fans. Big Daddy Goro, I don't think's coming back for MK1. I really don't. Again, another MKX pre-order bonus. We've seen Goro a million times. I think like Shao Kahn, sometimes these characters got to sit out, and I can't see NetherRealm giving him another comeback. I can't. I feel like Shiva probably has a better chance than Goro, to be honest. I mentioned that we could probably see Natara take Scarlet's spot in this game, but I can definitely see Scarlet potentially being a cameo fighter just because, again, I can kind of see the idea of like her blood splatter and like her blood whip being used as a character assist. So I think Natara will be on the base roster. I think Scarlet can definitely be like an assist character because, again, she does have a following. They just recently reintroduced her with a new design. And overall, I think everybody kind of likes Scarlet. But I don't know if they'll bring her back-to-back games again. Maybe. They did it for Aaron Black recently, but I don't know. So I'm going to play it safe here and think she'll probably come back as a cameo fighter. I just mentioned Aaron Black as well. I don't think Aaron Black is coming back on the base roster. I think 3 games back-to-back-to-back would be kind of overkill with us going way back in time. I don't know if there's a spot for Aaron Black to honestly be here, especially because I feel like his moveset can be like replicated with someone else. You know, pew, 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 his pistols. Maybe that'll be for like a striker. But I do think there is enough of, you know, demand to see him come back in some capacity. So I definitely do think he'll probably be a cameo fighter. I love Aaron Black, trust me. I just don't know if he'll make it for, you know, 3 games in a row. He's one of the few, you know, recently introduced characters that I think got a positive reception when he was introduced. But I don't know, man. 3 games for a new character is kind of a lot. And with that said, same thing can be said for Devora. Again, just like Aaron Black, back to back to back. I don't know if she'll come back as a main character, but as a cameo fighter, I can definitely see like her calling in her bugs. You know, a bug getting tossed into the gameplay with an assist. You know, just some bug flying across the screen. I can definitely see like her appendages. Is that what you call them? Her big appendages just like stabbing people in the middle of a combo string as well. So I think both those characters definitely potential to be cameos. They're very unique too, in the sense that like different looks, some fan favorites. Again, Aaron Black can just be throwing like his sand grenades. Not just pistols. I think there's a lot of juggle potential with Aaron Black too, so I think so far I'm doing pretty good at this roster here. I've got 16 spots left on the base roster. Getting a little dicey here. Whew. Okay, let's see. Havoc. Havoc is confirmed 100% coming back on the base roster. Though I could see him being a DLC character, I feel like we've been clamoring for Havoc for so long. If there's one 3D era character that I think everybody wants to see come back, considering he's been teased in like character ladder endings and stuff like that for a long time now in these recent NetherRealm games, I think it's only been a matter of time, and I think finally the Cleric of Chaos will be on the base roster. So I think Havoc is a lock for the base roster, and we got 15 people left. Again, they mentioned 3D air representation. Boon's teased the idea of him coming back. I think he's got a great design. There's a lot they can do with this guy, breaking his bones. The corpse spin that he's got in modern day would be so cool. His actual appearance and look, I think, is just amazing. So I feel like Havoc is a long time coming, and I think he'll probably be a base roster character, to be honest. We talked about it just the other day as well. Draman, more than likely, probably going to be a cameo fighter because Boon kind of alluded to that in a tweet. That's how I took it anyways. If you missed my video, I have a card on the screen right now where I mentioned how Boon mentioned he wouldn't come back as like a main character or whatever. More or less, I guess that's what he said. So I could definitely see where he'll probably be like a cameo with an assist where he throws his flies, comes out with his Garrus club. I love Draman. It sucks that he probably won't be on the base roster, but I'll take him as a character assist. He does look like Shrek of his mask. I love Draman. He's probably one of my top 3 favorite 3D era characters ever, but I know Boon's not really a big fan. He considers him one of the top 5 worst characters ever in Mortal Kombat, so because of that, I feel like the only thing helping him is the fan demand, and I feel like it can only help him so much, so because of that, I think he'll probably be a cameo fighter. I know. Bittersweet. I don't think Cetrion's coming back. I think you can say she'll probably not be an MK1. Sorry, Cetrion fans. I'm kind of tired of her as well. I can't complain at all. I don't think Moloch will be featured in MK1, unfortunately. I think between Moloch and Draman, the besties here from the 3D era, I think the only one that comes back is Draman. So Moloch fans, I'm sorry, but Mr. Ball and Chain, I think we'll sit this one out. Especially because, again, Boon's mentioned how Moloch's one of those top 5 characters he does not like, and I honestly do think Draman's cooler than Moloch, has more potential than Moloch. So sorry, but I don't think Moloch's coming back. And speaking of like sub-bosses, I will say, I do think that Mataro, hopefully with more than one leg, will probably be a cameo fighter. I think he's got a lot of potential of like his laser tail. I can see like his laser tail being an assist. I can also see him doing like a centaur dash across the screen too. So because of that, I do think he'll probably be a cameo fighter. I think that would be really cool to see him come back with 4 legs. And like that, you don't got to worry about balancing him either. It's a lot easier to throw him in as a cameo than obviously a full-fledged base roster character. I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but I do think Suhao will probably come back as like the joke cameo fighter because like Kano, our boy's got a laser, but it's not from his eye, it's from his chest. And I do think that's got a lot of potential. I guess it's like a 50-50, but for me, I feel like it's been a long time coming. He's been a joke for so long. If there's ever a chance to give him something to do in modern day other than being like on a billboard, on a stage like we saw recently, or like part of a character intro animation, I think this would probably be it just because he's got the laser and he's got the clap move. I can kind of see that being kind of cool as well for an assist. So I think Suhao gets his shot at redemption after years of jokes. Maybe, potentially, I think so. In the same vein as lasers, I can kind of see Kano coming back, but Kano being a cameo fighter as well. Kano fans, I'm sorry. I know he's an OG. I know he's an MK1 legend, but Sometimes I think it's good to rest, and I think Kano, just like Suhao, these are like interchangeable. Obviously, one's not like the other. One actually has a following, but I can definitely see where like the cannonball move and the laser would make more sense than like a Suhao. But I'm not gonna lose hope on Suhao. I'm not. I'm not. I think Kano, though, will probably sit out this one and maybe be a cameo fighter. I could be wrong. He could probably be a lock-in for the base roster like he usually is, but I don't know. Maybe they spice things up and do things a bit different. This is a whole new era, and maybe Kano's not around. We'll see. I don't think Jackie Briggs will be an MK1. I'm sorry, but just like I mentioned for Devora and Aaron Black, back-to-back-to-back games, I don't see it coming, and honestly, I don't know where the Kombat Kids lay with this entirely new timeline being reset from like a lore standpoint. So I think a lot of these Kombat Kids probably won't come back, and I feel like Jackie kind of had her time to shine, and I don't think she's coming back. So sorry, Jackie fans, all 10 of you, but I don't think she's coming back. Takeda, though, I will say, I think Takeda will probably be a DLC character because in my honest opinion, I thought that Takeda was the best Kombat Kid. There was some hype to see him, return for MK11, and he didn't get featured. However, I do feel like because the Kombat Kids probably won't be in the story per se, I can kind of see him coming back through DLC because at least like that, it wouldn't really need to make sense from like a lore standpoint. So I do think Takeda, who has a lot of potential, given maybe Kenshi's move list with a spice and slice of, Scorpion, I think that would make a lot of sense. So I think Takeda will probably be a DLC character. I don't think Blaze is coming back. I don't think we're going to get the Armageddon ending anytime soon, so I think Blaze is going to sit out MK1. I don't think Collector's coming back either. Sorry, but I don't. Cobra? I don't really think he's got much to offer, even as a cameo fighter. He throws fireballs, and that's pretty much it. Several other characters can do that and be featured as cameos, I feel like, so I don't think, I don't think he'll be coming back, unfortunately. Sorry, guys. Tough one to swallow, I know, my bad. Garrus. I don't know if Garrus will come back. I feel like because he's, tied with Chronica so much, I don't know if there's even a reason to have him come back because Chronica's kind of gone this time around. So I don't think, Garrus will come back. It would be cool if we could see, Chronica be like a cameo fighter, but I just don't think she's coming back. I think she has a lot of potential, for moveset, levitating and like dealing with like time and stuff. There's a lot you could do there maybe as like a cameo fighter, like a speed boost, going back in time and doing like reversals and stuff. I don't know, like maybe you can use an assist with, Chronica where she like, it's like a Madden rewind, you go back 30 seconds or something, but that just feels game breaking. So because of that, I think Chronica's missing and she's not gonna be featured in MK1. I still think Onaga will probably be the big bad in this game. And though he probably won't be a playable character because again, he's probably gonna be the boss, I can kind of see where maybe he'll be an assist as a cameo fighter. Maybe him doing his flame breath, maybe him doing his gust winds with like his flappy wings. I can kind of see that. Maybe not, but I still think he's going to be part of the game in some capacity, so fuck it. Why not put him as a cameo fighter? I don't think Jarek's coming back. Again, sorry, Jarek fans, all 10 of you, but I don't think Jarek's going to be at MK1. I think Baraicho, I'd love to see him on the base roster because he's not been on the base roster in so long, but I don't know if they'll do it. And I kind of feel like as a cameo fighter, he could do his vomit, he can do his cartwheel moves where he jumps and does his flips. I can see the belly bash. I can see him doing like the flame breath. I can see all that being cool, juggle assist as well. So I think Baraicho, a lot of chance to be on the base roster, but I think cameo. We've still got 15 left on the base roster, and I do think that Fujin will probably make the base roster. I think he had a pretty good reception as a DLC character in MK11, and I think as a base roster character, he kind of just like fits right in with like this OG cast. I could definitely see this being a thing, especially because again, though he was kind of tough to use in MK11, he's so unique in the fact that he can like manipulate wind and stuff like that. So I think you get some variety of his gameplay there, and it's Fujin. I can definitely see Fujin being kind of like a staple, maybe even in the actual story mode. Is he Raiden's brother? Who knows this time around? Liu Kang, is he? Are you going to decide that or not this time? Halfway mark. Things are getting dicey and spicy. 14 characters left for the base roster, and I do think that Rain will probably make the base roster. Our boy was DLC back at MK9. DLC back at an MK11, and just like, you know, I mentioned for Fujin earlier, I think the reception for Rain as a DLC character was pretty positive. I think he's got a lot to offer uniquely with his moveset, so I think he'll probably come back finally as a base roster for the first time since Armageddon. There's meant to be some Adenia, it seems, based on the trailer, and because of that, you gotta have Rain in there, right? You got to. So I think Rain finally comes back on the base roster. 13 characters left. Who else makes the final cut? I think this is a given here. I think ketchup and mustard. You got to do it. You got new designs at MK11. They weren't introduced. They were missing. Everybody wants to see them come back, and I do think they'll probably be base roster characters as well. You got to find a way to tie in the cyber ninjas. Who knows if they just miraculously appear from like a portal, but I do think they'll probably be on the base roster because, again, they rested the last game. It only makes sense to bring them back. They're fan favorites. Why not? 11 spots left on the base roster, and we still got a bunch of DLC characters. Ermac fans, I'm sorry. I think Ermac's going to be DLC just because, well, he got a great new design in MK11 in the crypt, and he's that one character that I think everybody wanted to see, and because of that, I kind of feel like they'll use that as a marketing ploy for him to be part of the Kombat Pack. I can see everybody losing their mind when he comes back as like the main spotlighted character from way back in the day in the Kombat Pack DLC trailer. So I do think they'll probably save him to be a DLC character, just like we saw with MK11 with the likes of Rain, Shang, Nightwolf. I think you gotta have some fan favorites to get those sales up, and I think Ermac fits the bill. Also, I really don't know how you tie him into the game's story mode again. You know what I mean? I have no idea. Is he King Jared this time around? Is the soul of King Jared trapped in Ermac like that one ending from MK9? Probably not, so I think DLC probably makes the most sense. 11 characters left on the base roster. A lot of these characters that we got on the bottom. Whew, man, it's getting dicey and tough here. Okay. Dagon. Dagon's interesting. Dagon, I don't think will be an MK1, and I think the same can be said with Taven. Where are you, Taven? Are you here somewhere? Where's Taven? I do not see Taven anywhere. Here he is. Boom. Taven. Again, just like Blaze, I don't know if we're going to see any of these Armageddon lore characters be introduced this early, so because of that, I think they're sitting out. Somebody we've not seen in a long time that I'd like to see come back is Serena. Just like Lee May, introduced in the MKX story mode through a cameo. For going back in time, I don't know how necessarily she'll line up in the story mode, but we need some ladies on this roster, and I think, again, just like with Ashra, Lee May, and Natara, it'd be fresh, it'd be new, it'd be different. There's definitely a following for her, so I'd love to see Serena come back as a base roster character, do what they did back with Scarlet from Mortal Kombat 11, reintroduce her and give her, you know, some new gameplay and stuff. We haven't seen her playable since Armageddon. I think it's a long time coming. I don't think there's enough for it to be just like a cameo character, so I think just like Scarlet, you got to do a whole new overhaul and give her her own unique moveset and stuff like that. So I do think Serena could be on the base roster again. Some representation that we've not seen in a long time. I think it's going to happen. Boon's Tease, she'll be coming back. Hopefully as a base roster character. At the very least, I think she'll probably be, honestly, a cameo or on the base roster, but I'm leaning towards base roster. I really am. 10 more for the base roster. Okay. 10 more. Dairu, I'm sorry, Dairu fans. I don't think Dairu the Assassin is going to be featured in MK1 at all. Coffin drop move would be cool. You know, the Iron Leg move, the projectile would be cool as well, but I just don't think anybody wants to see Dairu come back like that. I'm so sorry. I don't hate the guy, but I just don't know where he fits into this. So, sorry, Dairu fans. Kintaro. I think Kintaro could probably be a cameo fighter, just like the likes of a Mataro. I think I could definitely see Kintaro doing some flame breath, maybe picking you up and hitting you with his 4 arms. If we don't get Goro as a cameo fighter, why not Kintaro? We need some 4-arm representation, and I think Kintaro being featured in the most recent game, we see what he'll probably look like. I think that makes some sense. I was hoping he'd be a pre-order bonus, honestly, but I do think probably as a cameo fighter, that'd be pretty sick. I think it's time we start filling up this Kombat Pack DLC. And because of that, I do think that Smoke will probably be DLC, just like Ermac. You got to have some fan favorites. I don't know where Smoke comes into play with this new era with Liu Kang. I don't know how you tie him into this whole new Lin Kuei with Scorpion and Sub-Zero at the helm. I don't know if in the lore you have room for a character like Smoke, who's such a big fan favorite. And I feel like, again, from a marketing aspect, seeing the likes of these three right here, man, I think that makes for a really cool Kombat Pack edition. Obviously, a few of these mixed with some guest characters. I think that's a solid DLC pack. So, like this, I think it's possible. Ninja, Cybernetic Ninja, I don't know, human or not, but I do think Smoke will come back, but I do think he'll probably be a DLC character. Sorry, Smoke fans, you probably got to pay for him. It is what it is, but yeah, I think Smoke will be coming back, and I think he'll probably be a DLC character. Speaking of DLC characters, I think the Goth King himself, Goth Dad, Quan Chi. I don't think Quan Chi will be featured at all in this game's story mode, just because, again, if he was featured, I think we would have saw him in the trailer, but we got already Shang Tsung as like our one sorcerer, so because of that, I do think there's room for him, but I don't think the base roster makes sense because he probably won't be featured in the game's story mode, so because of that, I do think Quan Chi will probably be a DLC character. Again, he was missing from MK11, fan favorite back in the MKX days. There's a lot to, work with here, so because of that, I think he'll be DLC. And look at this DLC roster so far, man. That's looking really spicy and really good. If I was WB, this is how I get people to, buy a combat pack. These 5 DLC characters so far, I think, are doing really well. We still got 10 spots for the base roster, and it's getting kind of dicey. Now, Cyber, Sub-Zero, I don't think you're coming back. Unfortunately, I think that was going to be a thing that kind of just stays in the last timeline. Sorry, I don't think you're coming back. Same can probably be said of, Triborg as well. In a perfect world, I think you put Triborg on a base roster, then you get every ninja on the game, but on the game's roster. But because of that, I just think just like Cyber, Sub-Zero, this probably stays in the previous timeline. It's a great idea. I wish it would come back, but I don't know if they'll do it again. I don't. It'd be cool if they made that canon, because you'd have every Cyber Ninja like on a base roster or DLC, but I don't know if they'll do that again. If you're going to have Edenia, you have to have Sindel come back. So I think Sindel will be on the base roster. How do you have Kitana, Melina, Edenia, but not Sindel? So because of that, I do think Sindel will probably make it on the base roster. She's part of the OG cast from that MK3 roster. You got to have Sindel back, right? So I think Sindel's probably a lock at this point. And speaking of locks at this point, this one's kind of tough. Between Cassie and Sonya, I think Sonya comes back. I do think Sonya comes back. Sorry, Cassie. You could definitely come back as well, but for Cassie, I'm leaning towards... this is tough. This is tough. I could kind of see her being DLC. I can kind of see her being a cameo. This is tough. I'm going to say she's going to be a fucking Kombat Pack DLC. Why not? Just like Takeda, an excuse to bring back a combat kid when she's not in the actual game story mode. That's how you do it. She's got the spotlight several times already in the last era. It only makes sense for her to come back. Again, a mix of her dad and her mom. There you go. That was a tough one for me, guys. That was tough. And I still think this is a pretty damn good list of DLC, to be real. I think Cabal might sit out the base roster this time, and I could definitely see the Nomad Dash being an OP cameo move. I can see the Hook Swords being an OP cameo move as well. I can just see it. I can just see our boy channeling his inner Flash and running across the screen like that to stop the gameplay, to open up your opponent and give you a free combo string. I can definitely see that being a thing. So because I think Cabal will probably be a cameo fighter. Don't kill me, Cabal fans. Boon's teased the idea that he'll probably be coming back, Cabalin. So I don't think it'll necessarily be on the base roster, but I can definitely see him being a cameo fighter. I think Tremor will be on the base roster for MK1. Not seeing him since MKX. Again, another DLC character that was well received, I thought. A lot of people wanted to see Tremor in the MK11 base roster, and it didn't happen. I think he gives you that elemental variety that you don't really have with this base roster so far. Everybody loves these ninjas, and I do think that Tremor would be a great addition to the game's base roster. I don't know if he'll come back as DLC again. They always do repeat DLC. They're doing it again with Shang Tsung, but I don't know. I feel like for some reason he kind of deserves that base roster spot. I don't know how he'd play into the game's base, you know, because the story mode, but maybe he's in charge of the Black Dragon or something in this timeline. We'll have to wait and see. So I do think Tremor, probably a base roster character. I think that'd be a nice change of pace. You gotta have ninjas, right? You got to. Darius. I don't think Darius is coming back anytime soon. I'm sorry, Darius fans. I know we're going to see some 3D era characters, but just like the likes of, you know, Dairu and Cobra and others from this era, I don't think there's enough demand to see the likes of Darius come back. I personally like Darius, but I don't really think he's got anything to offer this time around, unless it's a complete new revitalization of the character and a complete overhaul. I don't know. He's got his daggers. He has projectiles, but I don't know, man. I don't know if we'll see him even as a cameo. So because of that, I'm sorry, Darius fans. I don't think he's going to be coming back. I got to keep it real with you guys. This is getting pretty tough for me. I'm struggling here. How many ladies do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 7 ladies on the base roster. 7. I feel like we can get a few more. We've got a decent selection here. One character that I will say we could probably see make a comeback is Tanya. Again, just like Tremor was a DLC character back in Mortal Kombat X, a lot of people want to see her come back in MK11, and she missed the cut. With us, again, having Adenia, it seems anyway, in the game story, you gotta have Tanya. You got Rain, you got Melina, Katana, you got Sindel. You gotta have Tanya in that mix. So because of that, I do think Tanya will probably be on the game's base roster. And I'm really liking this list so far. I'm liking it a lot, actually. We've already got Shang Tsung as a DLC character alongside Quan Chi. I don't think Shinnok will be featured in this game's story mode, and it pains me to say this. I feel like he's going to have to rest another game. Just like his sister and his mom, I don't think Shinnok will be represented in this game at all. Maybe MK2 or MK13, but I just don't think Shinnok has any really place to be featured in this game. So, sorry, Shinnok. I think you're sitting this one out. 6 more spots on the base roster, and things are getting really tough here, guys. I do think Reiko will be a base roster character. I do think Reiko will take Shao Kahn's spot, per se. I can kind of see where he probably finally has some type of prominent role in the story. I don't know how exactly. Maybe he's in charge of someone else's army, but we'll figure this out. 5 slots left. It's been a long time since we've seen Reiko come back. I think there's a lot of potential there with mini Shao Kahn. So OG Shao Kahn missing. You got to give us mini Shao Kahn, right? So 5 spots left. I can definitely see Kung Jin being a cameo fighter. I don't know if there's enough demand for him to be on the base roster or a DLC like the other combat kids and Takeda and Cassie, but I can definitely see where like the Bojutsu fighting style and the bow and everything he has to offer of his moveset can be featured as like a character assist. I can definitely see that being a thing. So because of that, I do think Kung Jin will probably be a cameo fighter. And honestly, speaking of like, you know, bows and stuff like that, I do think that we'll see Nightwolf come into the base roster as well. With 5 spots left, I think Nightwolf will be a base roster character, but I do think the mantle gets passed. And I think it's going to be Lady Nightwolf. I don't think it's going to be like the Nightwolf we've seen lately. I do think it'll be the Nightwolf from the MK11 ending. So I think Lady Nightwolf would be a perfect change of pace as well for the character. Whole new era, new changes, new mantles, new characters. I think Lady Nightwolf will be on the base roster. 4 characters left to be on the base. You know, I don't know if we're going to see Shujinko represented at all anytime soon, just because, again, I can't really see him being a base roster character because from like a lore standpoint, the story mode, I don't know where he'd fit into this. I guess maybe there's a chance. As a cameo fighter, I really can't see that because all he does is take moves from other characters in the game, so he's not really got his own move to be like an assist. He's got the Mantis fighting style, but there's only so much you can do with that as an assist. Don't think he'll ever be a DLC character because I don't think there's like a fan demand to see, Shujinko. So because of that, I do think Damashi's best friend is not going to be featured in MK1. Sorry, I love you, my man, but probably not coming back at all. Bittersweet, but it is what it is. We've not gotten any other creature representation outside of Reptile. Will Baraka come back? 4 spots left. 4 spots left, and I'm looking at a couple that I think, man. I love you, Baraka. I love you so much. I love you, Baraka. I gotta say, Baraka might be a DLC. I don't know how the leader of the Tarkatan here fits into the game's story, but I can see where, because he is one of those OGs, just like a few of these others on the Kombat Pack DLC list I got here, he'd be a really good selling point. And you don't have to think of a crazy way to intertwine him into Liu Kang's new era. So because of that, I do think Baraka has a chance to probably be a DLC character. I love you, Baraka, but I think Reptile kind of takes that creature spot this time around. I think they're going to just flip-flop this game. And maybe he'll be DLC. Now, Ed Boon's teased the idea of Chameleon coming back, but I do think we will see Lady Chameleon maybe as a cameo fighter. Again, I'm not sure how you do that, but just because I've seen Boon tease it several times, I do think at least one of them will probably be featured in some capacity. And I do think maybe it'll be as a cameo fighter. I think if you have a character that can do everybody's moves, that'd be kind of OP and broken. But if there's like a certain character that's not featured on the base roster or DLC, that's like a ninja or something, you can give those moves to Lady Chameleon, and that can just be used as an assist. So I feel like she'll probably be a cameo fighter. Again, Boon's teased both of them, and I think that gives you some something to look forward to if one of your favorite ninjas doesn't make the cut, because, as a cameo, you'll have Chameleon doing those moves. Whew, 4 more spots. Ugh. You gotta have Jax, right? You gotta have Jax. What's Mortal Kombat without Jax, right? You gotta have Jax. I think Jax comes back again. Staple of the franchise. I think you have to have Jax in some capacity. Maybe his arms aren't made of steel this time. Maybe he never loses his arms in this new era. Liu Kang saves him from being an amputee. We'll see. But I do think Jax has to come back in some capacity, especially if you're not going to get Jackie Briggs. You got to have the Briggs representation in some capacity. You got to have Jax back. Kodal. I can see Kodal being a cameo fighter because, again, I can see the cheetah running across the screen. I can see his big saw sword being used, slicing and dicing people with its range. I could definitely see Kodal Khan probably being a cameo fighter. Maybe even DLC, but I'm going to say cameo as a safe bet. 3 more spots left on the base roster, and I do think that, again, this is getting pretty spicy. Ferritor, I don't think is coming back as a base roster or DLC character, but I could definitely see this unique, 2-person Master Blaster being a cameo fighter, because, again, you don't have any other characters that are going to be cameos that are like 2-in-1. So I can definitely see where like Toro, maybe like run across the screen and toss Pharaoh for little daggers as well. I can kind of see that being a cool little assist thing being featured back and forth. It's unique. It's different. 2-in-1. Why not? I can definitely see that probably be maybe a thing they would want to do. So as a cameo, I can kind of see that, especially because, again, they were not featured in MK11. Why not test the waters and see if people want to see them come back as like a playable base roster character or DLC in the future? Kind of gets that done. Kai. Kai is interesting because looking at all of these characters I have as cameos, nobody really throws full-blown fireballs, right? No full-blown fireballs, and that's kind of what Kai does. He throws full-blown fireballs, kind of like Liu Kang. Why not? We've not seen Kai in a long time. We probably need some more White Lotus representation in this game as well. I'll say Kai will probably be a cameo fighter. If he's not a cameo fighter, he'll probably not be in the game. But let's show some Kai love, right? No one ever loves Kai. Kai, I'll say as a cameo fighter, because, again, you can have just a bunch of different variations of fireballs. So there you go. I think that might work. I think Noob Saibot will probably be a DLC character. I do, because what if this Sub-Zero never dies, and because of that in the story mode, we never get Noob Saibot? So how else do you give the fans Noob Saibot without Sub-Zero dying? Well, you make him a DLC character from another multiverse. So because of that, I do think Noob Saibot will probably be a DLC character, because, again, fan favorite, and don't have to worry about him dying, per se, Sub-Zero, in the story mode. So I think Noob will probably be a DLC character. I think that's probably the best way to pull that one off. 3 base roster characters, 1 more DLC character left to choose from. Things are getting kind of spicy. 4 characters in total. Okay, Kira. Will Kira make it back into this era? This is tough for me. With Kano being a Kameo fighter, who else will have a cannonball? Nobody else. And because of that, I think you could reintroduce Kira, and I do think she can kind of be a nice mix of Kano, a little bit of Sonya Blade in there, and maybe it works out. Again, I think the ratio male to female also is pretty fair here compared to what we usually get, so I do think, again, Kira could make the base roster. 2 more characters left for the base roster. Kenshi comes back. I think it's been a long time since we've seen the Blind Swordsman. Everybody wanted to see him back at MK11. He was featured as a dead character in the MK11 crypt. I think it's long overdue. Kenshi is Kenshi. I love Kenshi. One of the few 3D era characters that everybody liked back in the day. Where has he been? I think Kenshi could come back again. So why not? Kenshi, I think, will be on the base roster. And that leaves us with 1 base roster character, 1 DLC character. And a few of these characters, I gotta decide, are gonna be cameos, not featured, base, or DLC. Now, I could see, just like Cabal, Movado probably being a cameo fighter. I can see it. The Matador himself, I can kind of see it. He's got those like elastic, I don't even know what you'd call them. They're like elastic rope band things. It's very unique and different, so I can see him like elasting his way across the screen, even potentially as a base roster character. But as an assist character, I can see like those elastic things with the hook swords kind of being fun to use. So like Cabal, why not have both? Maybe, right? So I do think Movado, good chances ever to be in a base or a DLC, but I think because he's not seen him in a long time, I don't know where the demand's at for that. I'd say most people probably don't care for Movado, but I could see him being like a unique elastic, you know, assist character. So, whew, okay. As you can see, you get no Shokin here. 0 Shokin. And I don't think they're going to repeat. I don't. And because of that, I think she will make the base roster. I think Shiva will probably be a base roster character. You gotta have a 4-armed freak there somewhere, right? And I think Shiva fits the bill again. And this time, not as a DLC character, but as a base roster. And that kind of irons out the base roster for MK1, according to my predictions. 1 more DLC character. Who will it be? Will it be Frost, Hataru, Jade, or Striker? I can see Striker coming back, but I can't see him being a full-fledged character. If this political climate, I don't know, police brutality is high demand as a base roster or a DLC character. I don't know if WB would approve that. Not to say NetherRealm Studios does not want to see him come back, but I feel like he can kind of play it safe here and just have him featured as a cameo with his baton, with his taser, with his bullets being shot out of his gun. I think that saves you from like a full-fledged cop fatality and being featured on Fox News. So because of that, I can kind of see him being featured as a cameo. Hataru, man, I wish he could come back, but again, I don't know if there's enough demand for this guy to come back, and because of that, one of my favorites, I think, will not be featured in MK1, and that pains me. Again, he's got like the fire projectiles and the mantis kicks, but we've got Kai there for that, right? So as cool as it be to see him featured finally again, especially if you have like the Cleric of Chaos, why not have some order there? I just don't know if they'll do it. He's not really been teased lately at all, so I don't know if we're going to see him come back. However, between Frost and Jade, I think Jade comes back as a DLC character, and I can definitely see Frost being an assist. There you go. This is my prediction when it comes to the Mortal Kombat 1 base roster, cameo fighters, Kombat Pack 1 and 2 DLC, and characters not in MK1. I think Frost would be a great assist with, you know, the ice moves, just like a Sub-Zero, but not taking another spot as like an ice character. And again, Jade fits the bill as like one of these classic characters who's in demand, and if they got to sell that DLC pack, you got to have some fan favorites, and I think Jade fits the bill as well. So there you go. I think this is pretty fair again. This is just my predictions based on what we've seen so far. Tease from Ed Boon, and based on this like whole new era. What do y'all think? Did I do a good job? Did I do a decent job here? I think I did. I think it's a pretty solid prediction here. I'm pretty happy with how it came out, but again, it's just my predictions. This could be entirely wrong. We'll probably come back in the future and do a whole video breaking down what I got right, what I got wrong, but I think it's pretty fair. This Kombat Pack DLC, I think, is pretty solid. These characters have some guests. Yeah. This base roster, a mix of new and old. Yeah. Kameo fighters, a lot of unique abilities here to be featured as assist. Yeah. Everybody not in MK1, I can definitely see not in MK1 too. So, yeah. I think I did a pretty good job. Of course, if you guys enjoyed the video, take a second, triple like on it. Again, shout out to Wonder AI for sponsoring this video, so be sure to check out the link in the description box if you are interested in creating your own AI images. Subscribe for some more MK1 content like this on the channel. Until next time, been your host, Boon Dynasty. You guys please take care, stay safe. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.